I'm gonna try to be as quick and as brief as I can, as my mayor's report. Those of you that don't know, we are in the process of trying to sort of straighten out our stormwater plan. I had a self-imposed deadline of the 12th of June. There have been numerous meetings. Unfortunately, getting all the documents that I need to actually complete the report has been a challenge. So in your package today, I'm not gonna read this, but I've got an email I sent up to the EPA today. Rob and I talked about it before I did it. I wanted to make sure they understood that we had not completed it. There is one thing I do want to tell the council about, and that's the Gordon Creek ditch. And John and I met yesterday with Aaron Winkhausen, and that wasn't the only thing we talked about, but we talked about that particular project. We do have permission from the Corps of Engineers to clean it out. I talked to Jerry Meister about it today on the phone. I think he did, I think last year, I think you did an estimate hiring it out at about 57,000 or 54,000, somewhere in that range. Do you want to speak to what you think the projected cost would be if we did it ourselves, or do you even have a ballpark idea on that?
I don't have the figures here with me. It was,
I want to say $2,800
yeah,
a week or something.
it was for the piece of, we'd have to rent an excavator, and it was $2,800 a week. Or no, I'm sorry, it was $3,600 a week. Then we'd have to rent 2 dump trucks. You rent 2 dump trucks because you want to keep that piece of machinery working as much as you can. So if you have 1 dump truck, he's gone, that machine's just sitting there. So you have 2 dump trucks, so that's $2,800 a week also. So we could use our labor forces in-house. We just have to rent the piece of equipment, and it'd probably take me, I'm guessing probably 2 weeks to clean out the creek. That's a ballpark cost of what it would take to clean it out. The problem is with Norton Creek is there's no capacity under the bridges. Capacity you have to collect water. You have a silt line that's piled up in front of the bridges, and there's at least 3 feet of silt underneath the bridges. So that creek is not carrying the amount of water that should carry. If we get a 2 or 3 inch rain in one of these heavy downpours that other states are having, that creek will be out of its banks. We already have a flooding problem on Finley because the outlets for the catch basins are supposed to be above the floor of the creek. With the silt that's in there, they're at the same level. So the water from Finley can't make it down, it backs up into the street because the head pressure in the creek is greater than what's coming out of those catch basins. So Finley already is flooding when we have a heavy rain. So the
what
creek,
are you proposing, John?
we need to clean that creek out. The creek needs to be cleaned out.
Yeah, the village paid to have it done once, I agree.
Yeah, Eric said it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I was here, so yeah,
Yeah.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, so, it needs to be cleaned out.
And do we have the personnel, do we have someone trained that can operate that equipment safely that we're gonna rent?
We would, Rusty from the water department can run excavators.
Okay,
And then Tom Choate, he also can run heavy equipment also.
so this would be a project that the waterworks would work with us on.
Correct, yes. Eric already said he would, yes.
So are you recommending that we attempt to do this on our own versus contracting it out?
I don't think whether the village has $54,000 to contract it out. Preferably, I would rather see a contract, but I just don't see the village having that kind of money to clean that creek out. Because I got something here that's gonna ask for money too. So, you got the sheriff asking for money, you got the township fire department asking for money. I'm trying to save money.
I don't disagree, so I'm just curious.
When do I get this for money?
You can ask all you want.
Everybody's asking for money, I think I need to ask for money, so I can pay for everybody else.
So-
No, I think it has to be done.
Correct.
There's no question, even when we were out picking up and getting into the curve, I had residents over there telling me about the flooding and problems they're having. They're asking for it to be cleaned out, it does need to be cleaned out, it's also part of our stormwater plan, so we can't just ignore it.
Is that a blue line creek?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. And I live in Westgate, so when it's coming down off that hill, I see it. And it's coming down like a waterfall, yeah.
Anyway, the waterworks can see what the cost is.
Well, they're gonna be paying for their employees.
Yeah, they're
But I'm
going
talking about the equipment exchange or something of that nature.
No, I don't know about that. I mean, this is a village expense.
Yeah.
The fact that they're partnering with us with the labor
Is enough.
should be, well, more than sufficient.
I just didn't, I mean, I probably knew the answer, but I didn't think we heard the answer.
Yeah, Eric was very willing to help. And the first question I asked, is this legal? And the answer was yes, it's legal. And so I think that's something that we need to look at. I didn't come prepared with any type of recommendation yet, because I think we've got some things to work out as far as costs. We've got to sort of calculate the amount of silt we're gonna take out. We've got to find a place to dump it, what that cost is gonna be. So there's some things we need to work out first. But we're in the process of doing that. So I just want to let you know, it did not get it finished, but we have made progress. And we read through here, Jeff saw what I wrote, and he said, well, they can see we haven't been sitting idly by, and we haven't. I will let you know that John is gonna have to go for training, at least 2 certifications he's going to operate our stormwater. So those costs are gonna be right around $1,000 for the 2 trainings. And he will have certifications, which we need to do. I've also met with NPDS, I would say Pro, which is a software company. I got one more meeting, John will be in on that meeting. He's gonna need something to record all the there's 6 different levels that we have to report to the EPA. So he has that available to him. He'll be able to type whatever information he needs to be in. We gotta track all our educational materials and things we do, so that when we are ready to file next April's report, he just has to push the button, the report is done, and it's sent out to the EPA. The approximate cost on that is right around $2,000 for 2 years, and I explained our financial situation, and she will have more details. She's gonna try to get that knocked down. We'll see if that works.
Would it make sense to have our future village administrator trained as well?
I don't think it hurts to have that person.
If it's just
trained.
the cost of the training?
Yeah, I think you can have more than one person trained, no question about it. But there's gotta be a person who is the one who's going out and making sure, for example.
Doing the inspections?
Yes, the administrator certainly can run the part that deals with the educational part, the community meeting parts, because there's gonna have to be community meetings. Additionally, there's gonna have to be a small fee. I spoke with Jeff about that today. We will have to have a public meeting. I don't think it's going to be a tremendous cost. So it's gotta be calculated on the square footage of the property and the amount of water that's coming off the size of the house. And that'll be an individual fee. Some places put it on taxes. I think we used to be part of the Hamiton County Stormwater District. We did pay it through our taxes. Jeff is suggesting that we take that fee, which is, for example, is $10, you split that into 4 payments on your water bill. And, or 3 payments on your water bill, one of them. And it will be sent out with utility bills, but we're gonna explore different ways of doing that too. But that would then be used to help offset the cost of the, what we have to spend, because this is one of those unfunded mandates by the EPA, but it is mandatory, we don't have a choice. The second thing I wanted to address tonight, and we talked a little bit earlier about this international property maintenance plan. In your packet, there is an enforcement letter. That came from an outgrowth of a conversation I had with the auditor. And she provided us with what Cleves has done in the past. And we're talking as late as 2020, it is all legal. I know Rob has had discussions also with North Bend about it. And you saw in the packet what I put in there. I don't know if what Scott talked to you about is any different, but everybody out there does have a copy of that. And on our website, we have the International Property Maintenance Code is on our landing page. Okay, and I got our stats today from our webpage developer. That is the most visited page. Okay, so people are hitting on that page. So Rob, do you want to talk a little bit about your discussion with Scott? What you learned from him as far as assessing fees to the auditor's office when
Well, he's going to explain exactly how he does it, but he does it by resolution, and then forwards the resolutions to the auditor's office, and then per the resolution, they send the paperwork for the zoning violation or the fees that were charged, that kind of thing, to the auditor's office, and they file it to taxes, in which when they collect the taxes, they send it to the.
And this, if you take a look at this packet here, this is where it says notice of violation. Ed lays it completely out. This came straight from the auditor's office. So everything on here, that IPMC, that you'll be sending out with the warning letters. And everything in there is sort of laid out as far as what's gonna happen. Here, for example, if you go on to where it has Patricia Bizarre, June 10th, 2024, that is a letter that goes to her. It will go from Ed Schmidt. If you go to the next page, what you're gonna see is sort of what Rob was just talking about. You will have a Village of Cleves Council, and it's gonna be an ordinance number. He made up the ordinance number himself. And he came up with fictitious properties, okay, with possible assessments. You can either do that, from what I understand, you can send them down every time you want to fine, or what you could do is you could wait all the way until, I think it's September 30th, and send them down before that date. And once that's sent down, you send the ordinance down with the village council members' signatures. You'll see on the very last page, it's gonna be approved as performed by our village solicitor, and our fiscal officer will be signing off on that too. And they just put it on, the taxes. Now, the one kicker here is they can appeal any of these things to the planning and zoning commission. And, so I've asked Gary to sort of make some recommendations. It's a little different than the zoning appeals board. The mayor serves on it. A representative from council, which would be the representative. And I'm asking him to see if he can find some citizens to be appointed to that position, because in our International Property Maintenance Code, that's who you appeal to. So that's sort of an overview. Gary, you've had experience working in planning and zoning commissions before. I don't know if you want to speak to sort of what they do or how you would see that function.
No, I'll be brief. Again, we had that previously, we had commission, and we had residents sitting on that, commission, and we had people who came to that and said, I disagree with this, or this is what I wanna do, and we heard their included our zoning officer to say, you know, yea or nay, or to give the circumstances behind it, so forth, to help back that up for us to make decisions. So it works a little differently than just the planning and zoning committee, but it's still in the same venue where you start the planning and zoning for, you know, agreement or disagreement.
If they don't file an appeal, then it just goes down. Okay. So that's sort of where we're headed, and the reason I wanted on this agenda item is the fact that we're gonna be sending some letters out. That'll probably come from me, letting residents know that this is about to happen. Ed and I spoke at length, and I told him he's handed a lot of letters out. I think he sent 46 more out today.
So,
Yeah, so I told him, I said, I don't want you just dropping it cold turkey on them. I said, you may have already filed some of these things, maybe this is what the 46 he was talking about, it was, I gotta see that. But he's been doing this for months, you know, and I said, so you gotta give those people that you have warned previously, they gotta know it's coming. You can't just hit them with a fine right off the bat, and he's okay with that. But we are gonna start issuing those, and people aren't cutting their grass, but it's not just grass, there's other issues that he has to deal with. And he and I will be meeting on Tuesday morning again to talk more about this. But, I just wanna let you guys know that this is coming, and, if you haven't noticed, I think on the whole, our downtown area is looking a lot better than what it's looked in a long time.
is there a way, rather than send out a notice via the mail, I thought we could put on the water?
You can do it that way too. Like, it's not gonna go out, unfortunately, there's cycles how we send it out, but we can do it a couple ways. One is we can do it through our notification system here, that we have within our website. There are quite a few people who have signed up. We might be able to, I gotta think about it.
Something this important should be mailed to every resident
I agree.
and every property owner, because we have a lot of rental property and the owners need to be made aware as well. And whatever the postage cost is, just send the letter.
We can mail it the same way we mailed the thing about kick it to the curb and that.
There you go.
That only ran us, I think,
And that shows an effort on our part to inform our residents.
yeah, I think it was maybe like $400. It's not real expensive.
No.
So I don't have a problem doing that. We can do it in multiple ways, but I agree with you, Linda. That sort of leads us to our solicitor's report, and we're gonna be talking about the selling of surplus weapons. Before he gets into that, I wanted to make a comment. I talked with Jerry Meister today on the phone about this, because she sent an email, you may have all gotten it. She does not want to open this up to the public. She has a rationale behind it. The rationale is she is concerned that she wants to make sure there's no opportunity for anybody to get a hold of like Cleves Police, that was once owned by the Cleves Police, that might be ever used in a shooting, like a school shooting.
I agree with her 100%.
And she also felt that if we opened it up to hitters, because that was one, and I think Jim also you, she is concerned that there are other gun dealers that are in the village that will want to bid on it, and she said, I don't think we can just restrict it to them, we have to open it up to many other bidders. And Todd Williams texted me today, he is the chair of the committee, and he is adamantly opposed to going anywhere else either. And Rob, you may have had some discussions with him too, I know you had one, I don't think it was on that topic, but you might want to tell everybody here how this all came about as far as the sheriff's offer and how we wound up with the ordinance you're going to.
He asked me to assist in getting an ordinance and resolution put together for property other than the guns, also from the police department. I looked at his spreadsheet from the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office really was offered pennies on the dollar for guns. And I said, Ames is law enforcement, tactical, military place that trades, law enforcement guns, and they sell, they can probably have 6, 7 different models right now. They're very instrumental in that field. I said, I can get prices from them if you'd like, to see if they are better than the sheriff's office. And the difference between what the sheriff's office is offering and for the tasers and the firearms, I think there's a couple $1,000 difference in what Ames offers. And if they sell the taser cartridges to the sheriff's office, they'll be 1,000 above what Ames would offer for those, and then sell the radios to the sheriff's office. So be able to split the property between the two entities, was the reason. And he asked me to do that, I put it together. I didn't make any decisions, I just, did those things.
So I'm gonna open it up to any questions that Jim, Dale, you guys brought some concerns about it as far as optics were concerned. If there's a more explanation you need, I'm gonna go ahead and try to explain it and let council members respond.
Well, Jerry's rationale is, I understand, and I understand Linda's, but in all due respect, if they go to the sheriff's office or they go to Ames, they wind up on gun store shelves. And you may not be able to equate that, but Ames is one of the biggest providers of used firearms in the United States. I can call Ames tomorrow morning and buy guns from police departments that they take trade-ins from and buy their old stuff and put them on a shelf. And it's the same way with the Hamiton County Sheriff's Department. I don't know if they deal with Ames or who they deal with. They might deal with Southern Ohio Gun, I don't know. But when they trade guns in to get new guns, those used guns go on the market through an FFL dealer. And anybody that buys them, if you're a gun store, you buy them, you get logged into your books, and Gary goes in to buy a gun, and it happens to be one of those trade-in guns. He fills out a form 4473. That 4473, then the dealer that's selling the gun has to call Nick's for your check to make sure that you're eligible to purchase a firearm. And if you are, you pass the Nick's check, you pay the price, and you walk home with your gun. So it doesn't matter whether you give them to. The only way that she can be satisfied is if you take them to somebody that can crush them, cut them in half, destroy them. And there's no value in that, and
I agree.
it's an uninformed decision to make that you don't want them to be sold to anybody but the police department, or a police department, or the sheriff's department. Because ultimately, they're going to wind up on a shelf as a used weapon.
You're assuming that another police department will get them, and what you're saying is that's not a safe assumption.
It's a wrong assumption, period.
Are they outdated?
100%.
They become
Are they
outdated.
outdated?
He's right, he's absolutely right.
They become outdated, they become worn, they become unserviceable for their particular service application, so they trade them in. All police departments, City of Cincinnati, Hamilton County, pick one, anyone, doesn't matter. They have a service life that they abide by, and it may be 2 years, it may be 3 years, whatever it is, and at the end of that 3 years, they trade them in, and they get all new weapons. And like Ames probably gives them $35 a piece on trade-in against new weapons. Or they might decide that they've been using Smith & Wesson, and somebody got a cousin that works for Sig Sauer, and they decide that we need to change from Smith & Wesson to Sig Sauer, so they trade all their Smith & Wessons in and get all Sig 226s. But they still go to an FFL dealer who then sells them to gun stores as used weapons. and they go out on the FFL license. They go from that license to the store license, to the buyer's 4473, and he has to pass the next check.
That makes a lot of sense. I made assumptions,
Well,
as Jerry did.
yeah, and
That
it's,
it would go to another police department where we would feel safer in the hands of another police department.
right, and
But
it's,
these gun dealers, there's, people are getting background checks and whatever to buy guns, right?
every gun dealer
Yeah,
has to do a background check.
In my career in law enforcement, I carried, before I retired, I carried 5 different firearms in 20+ years. So we trade them in, get the new generation block or switch to something with the red dot, and, you know, there is turnover. And they do go, and they're on the shelf. And you can look at Ames, and I got 2 guns that are both law enforcement trade-ins from Ames. One's a P226
Say,
SIG, and then I got a what's it called, 40 caliber, because everybody's getting away from them, M&P. And then I bought a 230 in about
that makes sense to me.
that's the bottom line, the truth of the whole matter
As
is.
long as you have an FFL, they're a person that can facilitate the sale or purchase it that way.
You know, I can appreciate people being concerned about someone getting hurt with these guns and the moral part of that. But if you accept what you're hearing from 2 different people who are knowledgeable, you have to make a decision. You have an obligation to the village to get the best price you can, not to just accept things that aren't necessary.
I
A
agree.
feel-good thing. You gotta make the best money, and if you don't, then you're not doing what's right for the village.
So the question I have is, he has ordinances. You know, I do believe in the committee system. I also believe that we need to be as transparent as we can be and not unintentionally, send the wrong message to our business district and to our residents. We could table this, talk about it at the next safety meeting, and not take action on it tonight, or Rob could go through and present the ordinances he has.
But we can, the police rating, do. The original, when I wrote the resolution, or the ordinance for the firearms, was a business or a person that possesses an FFL. I switched it because I told you, but that was my purpose, was using the FFL. Because you gotta be able to facilitate the sale or.
Exactly, they have to be logged in.
Yeah. I understand.
Can we table this so that
Yeah,
Jerry
we can,
and
we
Todd
can
are here
take,
to hear
yeah,
that, to ease their mind?
Yeah.
I would hate to make a judgment or a motion without them first hearing.
and
I can
this-
change
Peace of
this
mind.
just a little bit to, table it and then speak about it, and I thought, oh, whatever, it's not me, because that's what it was originally. Okay, so I think next council meeting, table it.
Is everybody in agreement with table it?
Yes.
And that's what we're gonna do. Committee reports.